So I'll start with the recording. Yeah, I hope all of you can see my screen.
Yes.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Ishrat Jahan. I work as the coordinator at the Bragg Team Speed Grant School of Public Health. We're based in Bangladesh, and we are also the coordinating institute for the Access for All project. Similar to the GLOW project, we are funded by the Erasmus Plus Capacity Building for Higher Education grants. And today's session is all about these two projects coming together and sharing their experiences and reflections of the whole process of developing a curricula and then piloting, transdisciplinary or interactive community-based approaches to learning. Before we hear from the course teams from both projects, me and Dr. Lee wanted to give a very brief overview of what Access for All and the GLOW projects respectively are. Okay, sorry, I seem to be struggling to share my screen. All right. Before going into what Access for All is and stands for, I just wanted to briefly highlight why we're doing this session in the first place. And the main reason for this is that there's a lot of parallels, or at least a synergy between these projects. At the core of it, what we want to do is really take our educational frameworks that follow very traditional methods or paradigms and try and change that into being based more on real world, quote unquote, understandings in reality and what communities are facing on the ground, whether it's for public health, whether it's for climate change. And that also requires innovative, contextually relevant teaching methods. This also requires transformative skills that go beyond providing students just knowledge or the know-how for what to do. So I think we'll hear from the faculties themselves that how they came together and really tried and looked into how leadership, critical thinking, more solving based competencies can be developed, and how these are tailored to preparing students to become more competent workforce in the sense that they can directly deal with the real world where issues and problems are very dynamic and ever changing. So Access for All focuses on developing climate change curricula, specifically for Bangladesh, but our vision is for strengthening the capacity of higher education institutes based in the global south to take on more transformative ways of doing climate change education. So very specific objectives that we've had throughout the project. It was a 2-year project where we focused on developing 2 practice-based short courses that we developed through reflective exercises with a range of stakeholders, and focus more on creating community-based experiential learning methods. A second idea of the program is to develop knowledge materials with community representatives and local practitioners in specific climate vulnerable areas of Bangladesh, where we have community ambassadors working with us to develop climate change focused knowledge materials that's contextually relevant to the communities we're working with, as well as can become very rich content for the courses that we've developed. And lastly, but very significantly, we will try to develop a green learning hub, which is basically a name for a free online repository where we are hoping to house the resources that's developed through this project, as well as community-centered case stories and the online version of the courses developed. So just a brief overview of our timeline. As you can see, a lot of our work has focused on not just doing curricula development in silo, but reaching out to stakeholders, understanding what needs and priorities exist for upskilling the workforce that's contributing to climate change issues in the environmental sciences, in sustainable development across the board. And focusing a lot on ensuring that we're directly working with or learning from the community in the process of developing the curricula. Throughout the first year of our work, we focused a lot on skills mapping and then going into curricula development. Other than that, we've done faculty training across the Bangladeshi universities that are involved in this project, and as well as work on designing and developing our online repository. I'll stop here and give the floor to Dr. Lee to give us a brief overview of the GLOW project.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ishira. I will briefly talk about the GLOW project. So half of the participants here are from the GLOW team. Thank you very much for joining. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this GLOW is a transdisciplinary higher education for global well-being. We are very glad to receive this invitation from ACCESS4ALL to join this webinar. We do see a lot of synergies here, the short course training. We are doing the curriculum development and non-delivery. And the ACCESS4ALL also talk about the community, right? A lot of community engagement for us. Part of the project, the community practice, the actor part. And you have the Green Hub as well. We are also having our Actor Hub. So we do see this synergy here. So let me very briefly talk about the project. It's all about organizational development and focusing on the academic human resource development, right? This is under the capacity building in higher education funded by EU. So it's all capacity building, human resource development, and through the curriculum development and the delivery process. Eventually, we want to build our graduate students to have this mindset, have the transdisciplinary approach here. So this whole idea can be seen clearly from our overall objective of the project to strengthen capacity. So there's a capacity building in higher education institutions in Thailand and Europe, and eventually in neighboring countries. So this is our step also to reach out to the country in Bangladesh today, right? ACCESS4ALL. This is to develop and implement, to design the course and deliver the courses that will train the students in the transdisciplinary approaches and build their competencies that are required for the future workforce. So eventually we want to build the capacity of our students as well in order to address the complex global problems. So here are our partner institutions. I'm very happy to see we have all the representatives from our partners here. So first we want to thank to our mastery colleague, Dr. Nadia, who first linked us with ACCESS4ALL. So Mastery University, right? So we have the Effective Health Education and the Life Science and School of Health Professions Education. So the Mastery University, we have a long-term collaboration for more than 15 years with the program here at Thammasat University. So in this particular project, we also see Dr. Tony also is in the audience right now. So The master university, they bring the problem-based learning, blended learning, transdisciplinarity, the curriculum design, development, whole process. That's the master university. We also have the Heidelberg University from Europe. Dr. Morin is here with us. Her main responsibility is the monitoring and evaluation aspect of the project. So later on, she will also share the midterm evaluation findings, lessons learned, interesting stories from the project. The project is from January 2023 to December this year. So we have a half year to go. So a lot of things that we do have a lot of lessons learned, and it's also very happy to share with ACCESS4ALL as well. ACCESS4ALL is also more than halfway gone through the project, right? So the Heidelberg University has another very important function, and then the responsibility that is to bring the instructional technologies and the transdisciplinarity to the project. So we have the particular IT support to build the platform here in Thailand. So these are the two partners from Europe. And in Thailand, so here we have AIT, the Asian Institute of Technology Committee is here. Thank you for joining. So this is from, they bring the gender perspective, they bring the social science perspective to the project. We also have the ACCESS University, Faculty of Agriculture, people from entomology, and also other departments in the Faculty of Agriculture. So the beauty of having ACCESS University with us, they do have a lot of agriculture extension. They have a lot of community of practice experience. They have the extensive partnerships with the governments, with the private sector, with the industrial. So ACCESS University that brings the partnerships to the program, to the project. And we have Tamasa. We are in Tamasa, Faculty of Public Health, the Global Health Program, also other programs are joining this project. So these are our partners. Slide is not moving. Okay, so the project framework. So if we see basically there are 3 blocks here. The first block, this one is focusing on the capacity building. So you see, but our partners in Europe, they treat us in a quite equal way. They said this is not really exact capacity building, but instead is a co-creation. So we have 2 co-creation workshops. So today we do have the faculty members who joined the first co-creation last year, Ajahn Fabio and Ajahn Luca, who are here with us. And we also do have the faculty member, Ajahn Stefan, who joined the second co-creation workshop to come here to share the experience so far as well. So it's a capacity building co-creation process to develop the courses and deliver the courses as well. And all this process facilitated and cooperated by our European partners, Heidelberg and Maastricht. We also have the IT infrastructure I just mentioned, facilitated by the Heidelberg University experts, and then built the infrastructure here. So AIT recently launched their smart classroom. So we are hoping to use that in coming months, May and June, when we deliver the courses. So this part, this block is about the capacity building. And here in the middle, that is the curriculum development and delivery. You can see from the Thai partners, AIT, ACCESS, and Tamasa, we have our own programs. So we put the people together here. So the courses are developed by the 3 universities, the programs here. And then courses will be attended or have been already attended by the students from the programs, from the students from the 3 universities as well. So the whole project is targeting for developing 9 courses, but deliver 6 courses. So last year we developed 3 courses and we delivered 3. So now we are in the process of developing courses number 4 to number 6. And later this year, the other 3 courses will be developed. And then courses 4 to 6 will be delivered to our students in May and June. So this is the whole part about the curriculum development and delivery part. And the EU will not just stop here, give us the project for these 9 courses, right? For this part, they really want to see what are the sustainability part, what are the scaling up part. So here we have the actor. The actor is Asian Community for Transdisciplinary Education and Research. So this hub is pretty much like ACCESS4ALL. You have the green hub as well to store all the materials and to facilitate community of practice. This is after the project finishes. By the end of this year, we still have the actor in action. So this is still active hub to continue with the project, to continue to have the impact on the society, on the course development, on this whole process. So ACCESS4ALL have the short courses, training, and delivery experience. We also want to learn from ACCESS4ALL as well, because we really want to maintain the courses and continue with the exercise. So I just want to highlight a little bit more about the sustainability and the impact part of the deliverables. So here we want to have the institutional commitments. Without this part, the project is hardly moving. And we have the lessons learned midterm evaluation. Dr. Maureen will share very soon. And also a lot of lessons learned that we want to bring them together, and also other Erasmus projects in this region, or at least in Thailand, to bring together to have a conference, learner-centered conference. The conference we are planning to do in October. And we, before we start this session, I just briefly talked to Ishra. We definitely want to invite ACCESS4ALL to join us in this event, no matter in person or hybrid format. We would love to have you with us to join this journey. The shared journey is quite interesting. And with the publication and other conferences as well, right? So the capacity building part in terms of the competencies and the instructional technologies as well. So in terms of scaling up, so here at this moment, we are already go beyond the programs. So initially the program here is like AIT in a gender, but now it's already go beyond to get to the faculty members from other departments. For us, at Thammasat, we also reached out to Ajahn Stephen, who is from the School of Global Studies, right, to join us. ACCESS as well have the soil department to join. So we already go beyond the programs, and we also want to go beyond the institutions, not only AIT, ACCESS, Thammasat here, right, but all other universities in Thailand. And we also want to go beyond the countries, not only in Thailand, but in this region. So for Bangladesh universities presenting today, that will be our good starting reaching out exercise as well. In terms of partners, the project, you can see like not only the academic institutions, but also the private, civil society, public sectors. So for the conference in October, we really target also to invite the people, the experts from the governments, from the industrial, from private sectors, from civil society, from joining the academic institutions to share the journey together. So that's brief introduction of the project. This is our beautiful logo, and then the project website, and the actor, the hub website. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lee. So I think now we can move on to the main part of our session that everyone's joined and excited for. We'll first hear from faculties from the ACCESS4ALL projects from both Independent University Bangladesh and the University of Liberal Arts Bangladesh. So I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Romana. Dr. Romana, if you could just briefly introduce yourself and then take us through the curricula development experience and what you will share. Thank you.
Thank you, Ishrat, for introducing me and introducing our project. And also thanks, Dr. Lee, for introducing your project. It's very interesting. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. So I would just like to jump into the presentation. Just a minute. So I start the slideshow. Okay. So basically today I'm going to present how we co-developed and co-designed one of the short course on green skills. And basically, we IUB designed it for fresh graduates and senior undergraduate students. And on behalf of my team, I would like to present the process, how we designed it, and a bit of the piloting experience. So basically, we started the consultation with different stakeholders to gather the green skills that we need to incorporate in our short course, as our short course was very much focused on green skills and climate change adaptation. So basically, we defined green skills as the knowledge, ability, and attitude that is required for adaptation to climate change and also needed for green economic transformation. So we started our consultation with students. Over 50 students joined the workshop and identified the new emerging green jobs in the country and what skills are required. And after that workshop, we organized workshop with non-government organizations who work in the development sectors, and also community-based organizations and industries, for example, experts or professionals from garments industry, different sorts of banks participated in our stakeholder consultation and helped us to identify and co-develop the green skill list. And after that, we also organized, Ishrat really helped in this process to organize regional stakeholder consultation with experts and professionals from India, Nepal, and other countries. And also our EU partners, Maastricht and Heidelberg University, organized other stakeholder consultation with European partners. So finally, after this stakeholder consultation, we basically prepared a very huge list of green skills, and then we need to gather some green skills into one categories. And finally, we identified what green skills outcomes should be incorporated in our newly designed short course. And we made the list, and here we can see there are 3 categories of green skills that we have listed. And first, we're more related to getting green jobs. For example, it can be climate literacy or understanding research or scientific research skill, project management. And the other category is more generic that we need for green life. It involves critical thinking skill, problem-solving skills, and many more. And finally, the thing we feel very important, and it was very explicitly incorporated in our different sessions, which were transformative green skills, including self-reflexivity and also cultural sensitivity. And before designing the course outlines, we performed other workshops with our European partners in the process of course outline development. Here, basically, we organized different online sessions also to show the content of our course outline, where we tried to incorporate practice-based learning, and also community component is very important. As you know, Bangladesh is 7th most vulnerable country, so we need many adaptation components, and without engaging with the communities, it was very difficult for them to be prepared for the future jobs. And also there are several transformative skills that we tried to incorporate. And when we are almost done with our curriculum content, we had facilitators training sessions where experts from Maastricht University came here in Bangladesh, and the different mock sessions was organized where we tried to make things happen by doing some demo classes, and they commented on our class and suggested how we can improve and make it more skill development focused content. And this is the whole process, how we started our reflexive workshops and finally make it to the course outline and piloting phase. So firstly, it started with the workshops. Then we had several online and in-person feedback sessions with the technical partners. And also simultaneously, we have another advisory groups with academics from Bangladesh, and we also presented our outlines with them, and they suggested some modification. And also there was one validation event with the students at IUB, and finally we prepared the course outline. Here I just presented this brief session. So our course for fresh graduates and senior undergraduate students started with basic climate knowledge. Then we move into the climate policies. In the third session, we move into more locally led adaptation practices and other nature-based adaptation practices. And after that, we move into more inclusion and cultural sensitivity things with our gender session. And also we have some mitigation components like just transition and circular economy, which were inbuilt in session 5 and 6. And after that, we also incorporated some barriers that students might face when they are in workplace, when they are in jobs, if they try to implement their green skills, what kind of barriers they might face. And also there are sessions on evidence-based decision making. And also we planned, or already we piloted one project visit. So we get our student to visit on one climate innovative park where they can see different replica of a climate change adaptation process in the morning, and after lunch they were engaged with the communities through focus group discussions to learn how community people are practicing climate smart strategies and in their agricultural field. So through our short course, we focuses on three things. We tried to highlight climate change, sustainability, and inclusivity. For incorporating climate change, we mostly focus on locally led adaptation strategies and also some strategies that help to mitigate in the industries. And the sustainability component were covered in most of the sessions by adding sustainable development goals in the specific course contents. And for inclusivity, we arranged a gender session that incorporate inclusive contents, and also community engagement were there, where participants were inclusive from different gender groups and considering their social role. And finally, I would like to reflect our experience of this short course piloting. There were around 15 students who completed and got the certificate for their Green Skills short course program. And their reflection was that they really liked very much our interactive pedagogical strategies and techniques. They liked the hands-on activities they did for GIS class, and also they like the role-playing activities for understanding social inclusion. And there were several group works and collaborative teamworks where they get to practice their content-specific skills. And finally, they have also suggested us, the participants, they need the session more long. We basically designed it for 2 hours, but they advised us to go more slow pace. And also we are planning to strengthen our inclusivity aspect more by maybe broadening our topics or expanding the gender session a bit. And also the participants will appreciate more if we provide more learning materials and training materials to them. And this is basically our journey, and the next presenter, Samira Appa, will talk more about how we can move forward in future in developing this short course and institutionalize it. In IUB, as I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Environmental Science and Management, we have a separate unit for short course offering and things. So we are currently discussing with them to institutionalize it. So thank you very much for your time and attention. And feel free to ask any question if you have. And before ending, I would just like to show the pictures of our short course participants and the Access for All team from IUB. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mana. I think we'll give the floor to Samira Zaman from ULAB now. And I think reflections we will keep for when we also hear from the GLOW colleagues later.
Great. So, hello everyone. I hope you can see my screen and hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, how our course varied from the IUB course was IUB was more focused on students, where we decided to focus more on the professionals. So that means that we didn't want to go like, because professionals can be a wide term. So we really specified what kind of professionals we want. That means the young professionals, the young graduates who are there, and we tried to implement the course for them. So the team has successfully concluded the piloting of the course for the professionals as well. So I'm going to share a little bit about the course first and what we have learned from the whole piloting experience. So the major aim of the course was to ensure that the students are, or these professionals are, equipped with the green skills that we have outlined and as shown in Rumana Appa's presentation previously. So these green skills, how can we integrate them into climate change education? How can we correlate it with climate change and specifically climate change adaptation in the global south? So that was, we had a much more narrower focus, so to say. So we were only focusing on climate change adaptation and how to work with the communities, how to develop skills such as community considerations, cultural sensitivity, gender inclusion, and things like that. The second aim was to maximize the real world exposure for the students. Majorly, like traditionally in Bangladesh, the style of teaching that we usually see is it's really lecture based with maybe limited interactions. So what we try to do here is limit as much lectures as possible. So we try to reduce the times for the lectures and replaced it with lots of group works, replaced it with a lot of discussions, and all these lectures and concepts that they had to get familiarized with. We had provided them with pre-reading materials, so they would prepare before the weekend. They would prepare with through the materials, and then they're already aware of the concepts. The third aim was to enable networking and collaboration, not only within the cohort, within themselves, but also with all the guest speakers that we were bringing up. And make sure that they get into a professional network to understand how this kind of work is being done in reality, with a very practical understanding. So just to get an overview of the application process, so we did an online application through our social media pages. It was on LinkedIn, it was on Facebook, where we have announced our course and gave our registration link, and the number of applications were absolutely overwhelming. We had thought that we would need some more time, so we had given a deadline for around 3 weeks. But then just within a few days, we had almost close to 460 applications from different parts of the world, which was, of course, that also meant that they did not read the selection criteria properly, because our selection criteria specifically mentioned that we don't want anyone with higher education, that means with a graduate degree. And we also didn't want anyone who had more than 2 years of experience, given that the content designed was more for fresh graduates and not that advanced, so to speak. So from these 458 applications, we had to select 22 students, which was quite a rigorous work. And we also had to close the applications within a week because it was already quite overwhelming. So these 22 students were selected based on their background, how they expressed their interests, what kind of motivations they had. And after we sent confirmation to these 22 students, 18 of them confirmed that they will attend the course. And out of that, 14 students completed the course completely, like they did all the assessments and met all the attendance requirements and so on. So as you can already see that this is quite a like from 458 interested to 14 people who actually completed the course. So this process was actually quite rigorous. And I think when we when we implemented for the second time, then this is something that we will focus on how to make sure that we get the right applications, select the right students, and actually bring out those who actually wish to finish the course with the purest of intention and not just enroll in the course because of the certificate. So learning objectives of the course, as mentioned, that we wanted to give this green skills knowledge, climate change knowledge, and develop these green skills specifically for working with climate change adaptation and community-centric projects in the Global South. They have received a lot of hands-on experience. So we had workshop-style sessions. We had field works on how to design the project, how can they write a proposal, how can they collect the data, analyze it, and at the end report it. And lastly, collaboration, of course, not only within themselves, but with all the experts that has been coming in. We have been inviting almost like for each of the sessions, we have invited external guests, experts, practitioners who are already working in these fields, and also community members. We have brought in people from the community who are acting as community ambassadors to come in the class and share their experiences with the students. So the course structure, what we had it was a 6 weeks course. So since it was for the professionals, we had decided to do the classes during the weekend. So Friday, Saturday is the weekend for us in Bangladesh. So Friday, Saturday, we have decided to do the course for 6 weeks. That means we had 12 sessions. And each of these sessions were 4 hours long. And the total duration, like if we total it over the 12 weeks, it's 43 hours, excluding the fieldwork, because the fieldwork were, of course, they had to stay overnight and employ in the field for the whole day. Just to give a short overview of how we had planned the course, I'm not going to go too much into it, but just to give you an idea. So we have started with the basic principles of climate change. Not going too much into details, but just to understand how climate science works, and then how it is interconnected with sustainable development, and what are the cross-cutting issues. Session 3 was a field work where they went and visited an informal urban settlement in Bangladesh. And they were trying to figure out the vulnerabilities over there, how people are vulnerable, how many of them are actually affected by climate change, and so on. Then we looked into locally led adaptation, community-based adaptation. Session 5 was specifically interesting in that sense that we have really arranged a panel discussion where we have brought climate practitioners from many different aspects, different backgrounds. So we had like someone from the NGO, we had someone from the embassy, we had people from the private sector who are working with climate change mitigation. And this was really a huge a discussion session where they interacted with the students, and the students could ask questions directly. Then we had stakeholder engagement and collaboration, how to engage the different stakeholders. Climate finance, on how we can access climate grants mainly. And the last parts were really focused on workshop style sessions where they were guided how to design their project, their capstone project, which was for climate change adaptation for this community that they visited in session 9 and 10. So basically, the main aim was to prepare them to develop this climate adaptation plan for the community that they visited. So the student engagement was quite high in that sense that there were like really a lot of group discussions and class discussions, And like all of them were they were very meaningfully interacting with one another. Not only with one another, but also with the facilitators. When they were in the field visits, they were really sensitive and very considerate of what needs to be done. So this was a really great part about this cohort. They have also very effectively utilized the networking opportunities. So all the experts that were invited, we have seen the students interacting with them, connecting with them, personally also exchanging contacts, getting connected on LinkedIn, asking for materials to study. So they have already quite clearly established a good contact with the experts that we have brought in. And from all of them, we have seen that they really wanted to apply their theoretical knowledge that they had on climate change and how they can use it to solve real world problems. So I think this was quite interesting to see. As you can see here, we have got many different guest lecturers and speakers for each of these sessions. And the main aim for bringing these guest lecturers was to make sure that the students are getting real-time updates on each of these sessions. That means that now it's not only a conceptual idea of a lecture or a topic that they're going to get, but they're going to interact with these people and see how this work is being done in real life and what they need to consider if they want to work in this field. Here, as part of the course, they had two field work. So one was Dhaka-based, so more in the urban informal settlement. And then the other one was based in a river erosion-prone site, Shariatpur in Bangladesh. And they have also, when there, they directly interacted with the communities, tried to identify their vulnerabilities, and then try to develop a solution, a climate adaptation solution for these communities based on what they have identified in the fieldwork, making sure that their contexts are taken into account. And so the pilot project has been a huge learning experience for our team, I would say, because there are certain challenges that we have faced while implementing all this. So first of all, there were, in certain sessions, low class attendance. Already, we have to imagine that this is a small group, so 18 students. And then when a lot of the students are missing the classes, then the classroom looks kind of empty. So it's also not that nice when guest speakers are coming. So usually when we have asked, like, why couldn't you join the class, they have really come up with, given us some reasons. For example, there were certain commuting challenges. This was due to a lot of cultural and political events that has been held in Dhaka in the recent times with road blockades, a lot of protests going on. So this also had an impact on the class attendance that we expected. So a lot of the students could not make it to class. Some of them even mentioned that since they have a 5-day work week and then working and then attending the classes during the weekend, like both days means that they really had no break or no time to rest. So this was also something that we will consider when we are implementing this course the second time. So maybe try to integrate more online sessions rather than just giving 4 hours of 2 days classes. We want to firstly increase the length of this from 6 weeks to 12 weeks, and then try to see if we can find a proper balance to make sure that there's a good mixture of online classes and then in-person classes. We have seen that this, because they are working professionals, there were like delayed submissions for this capstone project that they were supposed to submit. A lot of them felt pressurized at the end, that it was really a short time, which was not supposed to be the case. But we have decided that from next time we want to guide them much earlier in the beginning of the course, so that they can already start integrating these ideas or start integrating these lessons that they are learning into how to develop a much more effective solution. AI use has been a bit of a problem because when we are talking about project design, when we are talking about developing soft skills, we have seen that the final results, a lot of it was completely AI generated. So this is something that we have to address quite openly, I would say, because AI is now being used everywhere. So I would not say that we have to limit the use of AI, but give them a guidance on how to use AI ethically and how they can use AI for research, how they can use it, take the information and then translate it into their own. So this is something that we want to focus on in our next step. So basically, just to summarize the scaling up process, like for the next course that we are going to offer, we want to ensure that we are accepting a larger amount of students so that at the end, even if some students drop out, we still have a class size of 15 to 20 students because that's how the course was designed. The course duration and structure also needs to be reconsidered. So rather than focusing on 6 weeks, we want to pull it up and spread it out more evenly so that the students don't feel too pressurized given that they have to work during the weekdays. Another thing that also came up, because we had a lot of interactive activities, we had a lot of group works. Some of the students in their feedback session has said that they should that we should include more individual work as well. So because usually when they're discussing in groups, then it seems that there are only a few people dominating the conversations, and then the others are not really thinking critically. So in that case, we want to include a little bit more individual activities as well. And lastly, we want to deepen the content a little bit because I think a lot of this was specifically for climate change, for sustainability. We have done, the content was a bit basic. So we want to bring in more real world scenarios, bring in more case studies, but it will of course depend on the heterogeneity of the group, what kind of background they're coming from. This group of students were mainly from environmental climate change background. So for them, it wasn't that difficult. But when we think of professionals from different backgrounds, if they're coming from, let's say, construction industries, if they're coming from R&D, if they're coming from marketing, then of course it's not going to be the same for them. So we want to review our content depth based on the group that we are going to teach for the second phase. So with that, this is the picture of our cohort, the first cohort of the professionals course under the Access for All project. And yeah, thank you. If you have any further questions, then more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Samira. Now we'll move on to listening on the reflections from our The-GLOW project colleagues. So Dr. Luca and Dr. Maureen, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon again to all of you. First of all, I don't have a slide, so I hope this will not be so boring for you. And also, I have no ambitions to point out the best practices of the course that we have developed and delivered, that I was involved in the development and the delivery of the course. I will share with you my experience, and very happy to do that. Also to reflect on my personal experience, which went from the participation to a co-creation workshop in November 2023, up to the delivery of a course in June 2024. I will not touch on the outcomes, on the output of the course as well, because Dr. Maureen will elaborate on that. I have to admit that covering these 3 different stages, the participation to the co-creation workshop, which was basically a gathering with the two European, as Dr. Lee called them, the two European university, Heidelberg and Maastricht, plus the three universities in Bangkok, AIT, ACCESS4ALL, and Thammasat. Then the development of the course, and then the delivery. During the, I would say, the three stages, I had to notice that there were 3-4 recurrent issues and state I felt very much into. One was confusion. I know it may sound a bit weird to you, but this is something I literally want to share because we will elaborate on that. The second buzzword for me was curiosity. And the third, acceptance, and the fourth one, the co-creation. So starting from the workshop in November 2003, I think that this state of disorientation, knowing very well why we were there, because of course complex problems needs complex solutions, and transdisciplinarity could be part of the solution, but we didn't know much yet. So we were curious to explore an uncharted territory altogether, and this was mainly with faculty staff. Because the participation of students and community came out after, during the development and the delivery, during the delivery of the course. But the confusion, I think, at the very beginning, and I know that Gani may smile on that, I think it was a very healthy state, and it was an unintended goal. We needed to become a little bit confused on the way we were trying to breaking silos between disciplines, because all the backgrounds of the people gathered in this co-creation workshop, plus the profile and the expertise of these 5 different universities were so diverse and so different that really the effort to take off this professional bias from our discussions during the workshop was something that I think, in my view, this is a personal, of course, experience, my colleagues may disagree, was absolutely healthy and helped us a lot, especially in the development and the delivery of the course. Of course, we were assisted by Heidelberg and Maastricht in working on problem-based learning, brainstorming on many global issues in a way that trying also to really go beyond the concept of inter and multidisciplinary to reach the concept of trans, which in Latin means going through. So trying, going through all these different backgrounds, professional biases, to have a common understanding, a common analysis, and possibly a common solution to the problems that we were trying to read in a different way for solutions and intervention. Another aspect that I think it was very important during the all 3 stages of my experience was the high level of acceptance. Being open and understanding regarding different views, maybe views with which we would disagree, and being able to incorporate them in, let's say, a common line and in a common agreement, that was absolutely interesting. And I think it helped us a lot, especially when we were saying, again, during the 3 phases of my experience, so workshop, development of the course, and delivery, the soft skills. So the soft skills were something that it's very difficult. I don't think there are also higher education degrees where soft skills are taught in universities across the world. And it sounds very obvious, but it's not, because active listening and emotional intelligence are things that, not all students and not all learners would expect to learn while they attend a postgraduate course. Because I forgot to say that our cohort of students was made of postgraduate coming from AIT, Thammasat, and ACCESS4ALL. So all of them had a bachelor with different orientations and profiles. Some were more experts in gender sensitivity, others in climate change, others in global health, others in agricultural sciences. So it was very interesting also to make sure that when we developed the course, we could really take advantage of all these different expertise. Now, the positive points during the delivery of the course were definitely a situation where the developers were totally aware that we're exploring something that was new. With a great deal of adaptation, a great deal of common sense and experience. The technical assistance was coming mainly during the development of the course, of the syllabus by Maastricht and AIT. We knew that there were not a ready-made solution for the problems we wanted to address in a different way. So as I said, the state of confusion was present also during the development of the course. But the beauty of this exercise was exactly to stop, to not panic, to try to slow down a little bit. I have to say that at the beginning, the brainstorming among the developers of the course was quite long as compared to the time that we have devoted to the development of the content of the lectures. Because the big challenge we have found, first of all, we were trying to intersect not just one global issues or global challenge like climate change, but 3-4 different ones among themselves, because the title was Gender and Climate Change Intersections, a transdisciplinary approach. But then the dimension that we try to intersect and analyze at the same time were climate change, gender, environment, agriculture, and global health. So when it comes to identify the content of the lectures and make sure that case studies are really clear on what we want to say. Well, there is not much in literature. You know, the initial part of developing learning outcomes was quite easy. The course description as well. But then when it came to define exactly what would be the content of the lectures, as our colleague from the University of Liberal Arts said, it was a little bit difficult. But we managed. We selected some readings. We used to analyze all these dimensions through some analytical frameworks that we have identified in areas related to gender, related to climate change and global health, and also agricultural science. And this was, I think, also very important because at the end, when we had to deliver the course, so in June 2024, well, I have to say that the day before the start of the course, I was a bit anxious because I was expecting a lot also from the students, I have to say, because when we say co-learning or co-building knowledge, well, in this case, we couldn't have too many external lecturers, and the communities, I will tell you later, was met only when we had the field trip. And it was a field trip very similar to what our second speaker was talking about, an informal urban settlement in Bangkok, Bang Chau, where it's true that the different dimension of climate change, let's say more public health and agricultural and gender, could be analyzed by interviewing community members. So this was done and was, of course, used for group works in classrooms when we were back. So it was very interesting. And of course, we have used all the active listening, the flipped classrooms, a lot of interaction among students. The course lasted 2 weeks. it was, as Dr. Lee said, one of the course, because there were other two. This was mainly gender and climate change, but then, as I explained, the dimensions that we analyzed were more than two, but up to 4 or 5. Then there was another course more on SDG 3, so the climate change and health, and another one on zero hunger and climate change. So at this stage, I think I'm sharing here my experience, which was definitely very enriching, very different from more conventional teaching, of course, especially because, and I want really to emphasize this, among the developers, there were, let's say, a global health expert, a gender expert, experts from agricultural sciences, but really the way that we and the feeling that we had during the workshop, the preparatory workshop in 2023, during the development of the course and during the delivery was really common and put us in a very comfortable situation, because the discussion were very rich, because we knew that we were really exploring a sort of uncharted territory. And I will not develop on the outcomes and the impact if we, whether or not we have achieved the learning outcomes, because this will be more with Dr. Morin. But if I can come really with 3 main recommendations for the future for all of us, I think that the first one was, it is actually to limit the most we can the disconnect that can exist between the theory, the concept that we discuss in classes, so global case studies, analytical frameworks, so the macro, with the pragmatic experience, the practical experience, because it's true that the field trip enrich a lot the whole course, but then the field trip has really to expose the students to try to collect the data, to interview key informants on these macro issues that we are analyzing, and try to draw lessons from that, because this was a little bit the risk. So in the future, I will put probably more time and attention in identifying a field trip that really matches with the ambitions that we have on the macro level, on the different way of analyzing global challenges and find solutions. This would be one. The second is definitely an expansion of the first one, because it's mainly trying to work really on the harmonization and the consistency between learning outcomes, content, methodology, case studies, evidences. Because if we all agree that the rationale of transdisciplinarity is strong, and we are all convinced that that's the right way to find better solutions for complex and very challenging issues that are ahead. It is also true that we have to find what is called in university terms the hook. So the level of motivation and how to grab attention and motivation and interest from our audiences. In this case, being postgraduate students, so we are talking about higher education, but it's very interesting also what I heard from our colleagues from Bangladesh, addressing these courses to professionals. Well, in that case, we have to find the right hook for professionals. And it's not just about selecting and identifying the catchment area. It's also adapting our course and making sure that there is the appealing message, and there is really the sustainability that we are all looking for, because otherwise you may have sometimes the impression that you are discovering the wheel. Of course, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary doesn't stand anymore nowadays for the complexity of the challenges we have ahead. But then what is different with transdisciplinarity? Why should we adopt this methodology instead of being classic and continue with the conventional ones? So I think that this was all a learning experience for me, and I think also with my colleagues. The last maybe recommendation I would leave, it's that I find very interesting and very helpful being at the same time a developer and an instructor of the course. And I have to say that I like very much that, you know, being in the preparatory workshop, but also in the development of the course, students are important, other stakeholders are important to bring their input on how to develop the module or the course, the syllabus, because I think that these are, again, efforts that have to have a very open and large venue in terms of stakeholders. Otherwise, we go back again to very old, probably mistakes in terms of higher education, only talking with experts and you know, keeping a little bit these ivory towers that we are trying to break actually with the transdisciplinary approach. So I think I may stop here and be very happy to, you know, to be part of the discussion if there is anything we want to discuss further. Thank you.
Okay, this is Maureen, and I'm going to present the midterm review finding of the GLOW project. As Lee has already, actually, let me put this off. Why do I have this? I don't, oh, sorry. Sorry, I have to start again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Lee has already introduced us, so I'm not going to introduce again. As Luca shared, this is a co-creation and working together project in the GLOW project. The same way we have the midterm review or evaluation, we call it, is done as a co-evaluation or co-review. So a number of us are involved, a number of project stakeholders are involved in this review, and I serve as the facilitator or coordinator. So this is the finding. I put my name, but here is the collective findings. I just talked to Lee, and as it is the internal finding at the moment, so we are hoping that this will not be shared at the social media or YouTube yet. Maybe we will get permission to share later on, then we can share with all of us.
Any point? Additionally, depending on the institutional structure of the Bangladeshi universities, they are trying to, as Samira mentioned, either pursue to institutionalize the short course and offer it, you know, every semester or at least biannually. Or an interesting approach that we've discussed is to operate in partnership with other universities who share the same kind of, you know, expertise or have climate change and development disciplines. I think that is what we want to do to ensure the life cycle of the courses beyond the project. Another key issue, and it does retain to sustainability as well, is making sure that the resources are, you know, the processes that we've developed to say that here's how we've tried and redesigned a climate change course, because climate change is usually taught very scientifically and very technically in most universities. So having that as a resource that's accessible to other Bangladeshi higher educational institutes. So a core part of sustaining not just the course, but the process of developing a more experiential climate change course, and ensuring that that can at least become adapted by other universities is also a key part of how we want to sustain.
Thank you. So it's not only content, but also capacity building. Now I have one follow-up question, if I may, because you said that you're considering making the course open access, right? How do you then go about assessment or providing certificates for the course? Or can you then still fully control the whole process? Or
Yes, I think that's now that is the process that we are going through and deliberating on these very crucial questions of how exactly you translate an in-person experiential learning course into an online course. But I think we've reached a consensus to a certain amount, and that is that it has to be a course that is self-paced so in that manner, assessment isn't going to be done by someone. Assessments have to be probably reflective games, interactive questions or cases that a student who's taking it reflects on and interacts with at their own pace and at their own discretion. And something that we are still discussing is, okay, then how do we adapt fieldwork, for example, to be experiential and immersive, even in a course that's online and self-paced. So now we're trying to figure out different methods. We're trying to figure out whether testimonies will work and whether we can have short games or short question answers to supplement those community testimonies, for example. And how does a learner then interact with that content? And is the takeaway the same? So, very interesting questions, and I think my colleagues will also agree that we're still discussing it and deliberating on it. But I think that's how I see it.
Mhm. Yeah, or have them apply the reflections to their own work, if it is professionals. But I'll stop now and leave the floor to Mark, who raised his hand as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Maybe I missed this, but I'm just wondering, your course in Bangladesh is targeting professionals, right? So I'm asking, to what extent do you have mechanisms in place to involve the employers in shaping the course and making the course also organizational relevant rather than on an individual participant basis? You're talking about community, you involve community, and I know the working of BRAC, so you're very strong in this. But I wonder if this is a course for professionals, would it be meaningful to get the employers as stakeholders involved in the course, in developing the course or in sustaining the course? They could provide the funds if you need resources, for instance. It's just a question, huh? Thank you.
Thank you. Samirapa, would you like to respond?
Yeah. So, for example, as I have mentioned previously, that for each of the sessions that we are conducting, we are already trying to bring in employers from our university. For example, the climate finance session, none of us are climate finance experts, so we are bringing someone from the business school who is or who has been much more experienced in that to deliver or facilitate the class. So like this, we try to include as many persons as possible But I'm not sure if you mean that we should offer them, like they should be the course takers. Like, did you mean something like that, or
No.
just in developing the course?
No, thinking about sustainability, for instance, if you would work with certain sectors and promote your course as a potential useful instrument if you want to build capacity, organizational capacity, then so that's my question actually.
Yeah. So we have really tried to bring in as many expertise from our institution as possible, but we did not think of like the other way around. We did not think of giving it back to them in terms of that, in terms of capacity building. But I think it's definitely a very interesting point that you have mentioned. Yes, I think there are two other colleagues who are willing to answer this question. Please.
We'll hear from Nadir Bhai and then Naima.
Thank you. I'm officially not representing Bangladesh since I work with Honi at Maastricht University, but being a Bangladeshi and also being working with that other projects previously for last many years now, I think that we have been thinking of different synergies in terms of how we can build those things. One of the major element is that Bangladesh is a country where there is a huge appetite of post-graduation degrees. For example, people are doing their professional, they want to switch the profession and other places. So there is a huge appetite for that one, which you do not see in Europe. Right? Maybe in the middle age when they switch the career, but in Bangladesh, there is a huge appetite. So in that case, this professional degree has an appetite, but we have been looking through different avenues. One of them is that in the Global Health Consortium, where Lee, Honi, we work together in the Masters in Global Health program, where we have a different partner from Bangladesh, is called Bangladesh University of Professionals. And now, as we have the exchange program from January to April, where our students, they travel to each other's institute to take other, that is where BUP is now interested to develop a, elective on climate change and health. So I was indirectly speaking to my colleagues from BRAC, IUB, and ULAB that whether there is an avenue where they can work together, and that is one way of institutionalizing it. The other one is that I have, I actually moved to Maastricht from Hamburg University, and I have a PhD student at Hamburg who is the head of climate center of CCDB, the Christian Commission of Development in Bangladesh. And he is actually running that program, which has a funding from Bread for the World, which is a German NGO. For next 10 years, that every year they will fund 30 master's students for research on climate change. And it is for 10 years. So it is altogether 300 master's students. So there is a large cohort of students for next 10 years. So I'm also speaking to CCDB to see that if we can have another appetite where those students will go through a formalized training before they pursue a research on their dissertation. So that is the other avenue which we have been thinking of. But these all are really very floating because we also want our Maastricht student to experience, being engaged in different development initiatives, program and learnings from Bangladesh, from Thammasat. And that is why I thought that these are the avenues which are floating, but it is still not definitive because these all are the new, opportunities showing up and we are exploring. So it is, we'll get there somehow, but we need your support and advice as we go along.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Naima, would you like to share? You had your hand up.
Yeah, so I think Nadir has already elaborately said it. Am I audible?
Yes, but maybe speak up just a little bit.
Okay. So I think Nadir Bhai has already explained it in more like elaborated way. But the other thing that I was thinking was when we had the sessions with the workshops with the professionals, I think they had come up with some ideas of the mitigation process and certain skills that are related to the manufacturing industries and like some banking sectors. So those are the things that we can probably think of. To give short courses on these soft skills that we can probably provide to different sectors. So that is something we can think of, maybe banking, RMG, and certain sectors where we can give these green skills.
Yes, yes.
So that is the Access for All phase 2 as we go along.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Are there any reflections, comments that anyone else would like to share? Well, if not, then I have a few questions. Apologies if you were thinking that the session was over, but I think we had very interesting insights shared across both projects. And I just wanted to get everyone's reflections on these 3 questions. The first question is something that is something that I feel, or it's coming from me, and this is when Dr. Luca mentioned about complex problems requiring complex solution. And I think something that I failed to capture when I was trying to explain the Access for All project in the beginning of this session was that this is exactly what we're trying to do. I think throughout the process, we were trying to ask ourselves as course developers, then as facilitators, and ask our stakeholders, not that how we make this course simple enough that everyone can understand it, but how do you make a space or create a space of learning where you have learners appreciate complexity? Because climate change at the end of the day is a complex problem, and it's not just climate change as we keep mentioning across our team. So if there's any reflections that you'd like to share on this, it would be. Yes, Doctor.
I think maybe Dr. Luca already hinted to this as is one of his last points on how to hook interest of your participants related to transdisciplinary learning and problem solving. And I think I may be not completely aware of I have to go based on what has been presented today. If I look at the BRAC presentation, I have the impression that we went one step lower. You're talking, let's say, climate change or climate change resilience, whatever that means. And we go a little bit lower and try to come up with a practical problem rather than a conceptualization of the challenge. And that's probably a possible strategy to get people interested in something. An example I could give, for instance, for our region would be the Mekong River as the Mekong Delta, and come up with the particular issues that are related to, let's say, the provision of energy by building dams and how that is affecting the ecosystem and how that is affecting communities and farming and blah, blah, blah. So that becomes a very recognizable problem. And I didn't get that much out of the Bangladesh presentation so far, but that's maybe me. So maybe, I have to be careful here. But I had the impression that you're still more of that conceptual level rather than the pragmatic level, if you want. And maybe if you can come up with a tangible problem in all its complexity, that's maybe something that rings bells to potential participants and trainees. Just an idea.
Thank you. Dr.
Yes, thank you. I find this discussion really fascinating because I really think that this is a key point. When I was talking about the hook, I've been always convinced since starting my journey in transdisciplinarity in 2023 that the best way to make sure that you can come with some strong arguments to different audiences, being students or decision makers, politicians, donors, whoever, you name it, was to come with evidences showing that case studies really stand what you're claiming, coming with quotes, articles, statistics, reflection, observations, reports, Well, I have to say that after this experience in transdisciplinarity, especially focusing a lot on soft skills as opposed to the technical ones. So I don't think I'm going into the direction of Professor Mark questions, making things more practical and pragmatic. On the contrary, I think that, I really think that global health, for instance, is an area very versatile for transdisciplinarity. You don't need to be a white coat to do global health. You need social scientists, you need anthropologists, you need, the venue is huge. But this is also valid for climate change. It's valid in agricultural sciences, for gender. So I think that the polycrisis that we have ongoing right now on this planet, they really require a different way of thinking. Now, if the starting point, a different way of thinking should be more transdisciplinary rather than multi or inter, because when we continue to call 15 different experts and we put them in the same room and we try to talk in a cross-cutting way about climate change or global health, well, I'm afraid that we end up always with the same conclusion, that everyone will come with his own professional bias and ego and say, no, well, I'm the expert on global health. I talk before you, and then you give me your anthropological analysis. Excuse me, I have 3 PhDs, and so this is so wrong. And we know that. I'm happy that Roy joined us because he is also the one very much focused in our faculty on transdisciplinary competencies. In my view, is very much about soft skills. So we should also get relaxed and say, well, yes, we will bring technical elements to these different audiences related to climate change or global health. But first, we have to listen to other views, incorporate them in our own views, even if we disagree with them, being curious of what is not our discipline, although we have 4 PhDs and we are experts in that domain. So I think that this marriage between these two things is really key in all our discussion. I'm seeing that there is a common effort with the universities in Bangladesh, in Europe, and in Thailand on that. And I'm very happy to join this initiative because I believe very much into that. But I'm still, exploring a sort of uncharted territory.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, I would like to just add a short comment. So your question, as I understand it, was how to get people to appreciate the need to consider complexity and sort of not just think in their own discipline. And I think for me, one of the important factors is exposure. It's one of the goals that we've had in all of our course development, is that once you talk to someone else and say, oh, they see things in a completely different way, well, suddenly you're seeing things in a more complex way. And by the time you do that with 2 or 3 people from different disciplines, and then some business people, and then some farmers, and then some other people, you start to realize that the world is actually more complex than the way we think about it in our disciplines. And then the second thing that really helps is that then you have to step outside your language. So a lot of time we get locked into our language, into our disciplines by our common language and terminology and jargons. But then if you're forced to try and explain things or listen to things from people from not just other disciplines, but from completely different sectors who don't think in kind of academic generalizations at all, but are either pragmatic and business oriented or thinking about feeding their family or whatever they're thinking about. All of these things, I think, kind of force the realization of complexity upon you and the need to be able to deal with that. And as Lucas said, soft skills, just being a good listener and other things like that, are a real part of that, and having an open mind.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think those are very interesting reflections. I think that's a discussion we've also had across universities in Access for All, especially at the beginning of the project when we were deliberating as to what are the kinds of green skills or competencies we want to see. Because we knew that the end goal of the courses would be that learners appreciate that climate change is a complex issue. It's not just a science issue, it's not just a social issue. There are cascading impacts, there are many kinds of political issues, local contexts that are exacerbating conditions people face. So it's not, your technical know-how isn't everything in terms of green skills. So there was a very critical need for us to, as Dr. Romana said, focus more on what are transformative skills. And they are very simple things like learning to work in a team, learning to be able to have a constructive discussion, be able to take constructive feedback. So I think those sound like simple things, and those sound like, soft skills is something we should develop throughout our life. But I think those are also things that are not complex, but that are very difficult to be able to learn and retain. And it's very important to create that open and reflexive learning environment. I think we find it difficult because a lot of times we are put into very traditional siloed approaches as academics or as educators. I don't obviously come with a lot of experience. My experience is still limited, but that's at least my sense of things. So yeah, thank you for those reflections. It's been very interesting and engaging. I think we have 5 minutes left, and 6 minutes left, and I don't want to take up too much of people's time. I'm aware for our Bangkok colleagues, it's almost, the end of the workday. So if there's any closing reflections, Dr. Lee, if you'd like to share any closing thoughts, maybe we can wrap up.
I don't want to take people's time either. Thank you. Thank you for this initiative. It's very nice. We are really get together with the ACCESS4ALL and the GLOW. We just look forward to further conversation and discussion, the sharing experience. I think both projects have a lot of potentials to go further and to work hand in hand maybe in the future proposal as well. So this is something like we want to discuss more with ACCESS4ALL. And we also look forward to joining your conference in July and inviting you to join us in October. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lee. I think special shout out to the University of Maastricht for linking us up and making this learning session possible. So thank you, Nadir. Can I ask for 2 more minutes of your time? I wanted to just take a screenshot of every one of the participants here, if that's okay. If you're not comfortable, no need to turn your video on, absolutely okay. But just for us.
Do we need to say cheese or it's done already?
No, it's not done. I'm figuring out the view. Okay. 3, 2, 1. And cheese. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. It was a very interesting session. Would have loved to hear more thoughts, but I think in the interest of time, we have to wrap up. But hopefully in the future, we can arrange for webinars that are more open to public audiences. And of course, fingers crossed to be able to join the events across both projects. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.